We're about to get underway on our next podcast, our Broomball podcast. And tonight's topic for our December podcast is all about provinces and territories where broomball is just in its beginning stage or where its popularity has died off a little bit throughout the years. So we will be talking with guests from the Maritimes and up north in the territories to see what they've been doing to keep the sport of broomball alive and growing.
All right. So we'll bring in our guest. First off, we have Scott Smith. He's a player, he's a coach, he's a ref, pretty much does everything broomball in the north of our country, in the territory of Yukon. Also, from Nova Scotia and the Maritimes, a defenseman on the ice and a broomball development leader off the ice. His name is Matthew Wainman. And we'll bring them in right now. All right, guys, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm good.
Matt, you there?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Chad, you got the first question for him.
You bet. Now that we're all here together, I'd like to welcome you guys. First off, thanks for joining us on this podcast. It's something we're trying to get going in broomball to let everyone see, talk to different people around the country, and share our beautiful sport with the rest of the world. So first off, I'd like to ask a few questions. I guess we'll start with you, Matt, if we could, please. How are you implicated in broomball, and how long have you been in the sport?
Oh, good question. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here tonight. That's really nice, really great to be here with you guys. How am I implicated in broomball is might be a long list here, but to start with, it's obviously my passion. I'm a player. I love to do that. And probably so much so that everyone around me probably hates hearing it by now. But it dominates most of my conversations. But I do love playing. I've been playing for quite a while now, and I also coach a local youth program that we just started last year. This year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we haven't really got it going yet, but we're hoping to get it going after Christmas. I also organize and volunteer my time to go into schools and teach broomball in schools, in elementary schools. I help run the local association, and I'm the president of the Maritime Broomball Association as well. So quite a list.
Yeah, it is quite a list. At least you're trying everything you can to keep it alive out there, that's for sure. And Scott, how about yourself?
Try my best.
Well, hey guys, thanks for inviting me in. Yeah, well, I'm in the Yukon. I think the introduction probably said that. I don't know what they said about me, but anyway, I'm
nothing but good stuff.
Part of the Yukon Broomball Association. Have been for many years, probably 25 or more. Was started off in the very beginning, and been with. We play mixed only here, outdoor. Yeah, so I've been a player, organized a team, been a volunteer with the association for lots of years, developing the sport here and the facility. Of course, that some refereeing has to be done because we don't have too many of those. So I pick up on some games there. And in 10, I started coaching at the international level at the Worlds. And I've done 3. I was headed for Kingston, but didn't make it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did. So. Jack of all trades, that's for sure. Well,
yeah, sounds like you guys have both been a part of pretty much every aspect, which is pretty cool. That's think what we all enjoy about it, just doing everything. So I've never played broomball in either of the areas you guys are from. How long has it been there? And is it a newer sport, or was it bigger and has dropped in participation, or what's the deal with it, with broomball from where you guys are from? Matt, we'll start with you.
Sure. You know what? I can't probably tell you the exact history of broomball in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, but I know that in Nova Scotia and my local community in Brooklyn, where I play, we've been playing since the 60s. So really, when they started building all the rinks around Nova Scotia, that's when broomball really, it was either hockey or broomball. That was kind of your options. So, it's seen its ups and downs since then, really kind of hit a high in the 70s and 80s. And, was probably taken out of the military somewhere around that time, maybe a little later. But since then, it's really dipped, but we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence now. So, yeah, that's pretty well it. It's most of the players who are playing now are new players.
Okay, well, it's better to have new players than just to be losing all the older ones, which I see in some places where you still got those guys that were playing in the 70s and 80s, and that's pretty much all that's left playing. You don't have a lot of new guys, so it's good to hear that you guys have a youth program and you guys do have some new players. Scott, what's going on in your area? Is it dying down? Is it picking up? How long's it been there?
Well, we've been going pretty hot and heavy for about 35 years. It's had higher numbers. It still enjoys, we're an 8-team league. We're playing 3 times a week. We're kind of an isolated association. People really like to get out and travel, but it's quite costly. Alberta's probably our closest bet right now. But so we developed our own facility. We had 2 smaller outdoor ones that were not covered, which required quite a bit of shoveling. We got government grant money 20 years ago, and we built a full-size covered outdoor rink, 85 by 20. It's got no change rooms, it's got no running water. It's got lights and bleachers and a clock and a couple penalty boxes for those that, need to get in there.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a few, aren't there?
It's pretty clean. As you get into playoffs, it gets a bit feistier, of course. I think it does throughout the sport,
Yeah.
Competitive drives it. We try to keep a lid on it, but there's always some tempers.
Yeah, fair enough. So, seeing as you guys have both had broomball in your areas, are you guys playing at all this year? Has COVID delayed the start? I know, Matt, you said your youth program hasn't started, but are you yourself playing, or Scott? And if it has delayed the start of your season, how would you suggest keeping the sport going during a pandemic? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. So in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, it's about 50-50 right now. We've got 4 major broomball regions in the provinces, and 2 are going, 2 are not going. So I don't know, how to keep that out there, respect the rules, respect each other, respect the community, and just get out as much as you can, but be safe while you're doing it. You may have to have a smaller team. You may not be able to play the game or have the fans in attendance. If there ever were any fans, that kind of thing. Just respect the rules and really respect the virus.
So, I guess in conversations, but is your youth program, you think, going to suffer from this? Do you think you're going to have kids that were playing last year and didn't come out this year, and will they come back next year?
Well, really hoping that they do. Last year was actually the first year for our program. So this is really only the second time they've been out, and it was almost all brand new kids anyway. There were only 2 comebacks. So, we're crossing our fingers. We don't know, but, they were very excited when when they left at the end of the year last year. So
Right on. Well, you know what? It's the excitement that counts, right? As long as you can keep them interested and intrigued, that's where you need to start, right? So, thanks, Matt.
absolutely.
Scott, how's
Yeah.
COVID treating your area?
Well, we had a bit of a slower start. We often kick off the season with a break the ice tournament, and we play that one indoors until we can get our natural ice in. We canceled that tournament this time. We just couldn't control the conditions. In change rooms, and often we supplement the cost of the tournament with a beer garden, so we couldn't have any of that. So we had a bit of a tournament to start us off outdoors, and that went well. It was a week-long deal. We have to be careful, like everywhere, but because we're outdoors and there's no change rooms, our COVID rules are slightly different. People are required to come dressed other than their shoes. And we, in our league and game, we play 315s running. The thing about that is we've gone to 220s to allow teams to get in and get out of the facility. You have 5 minutes after your game and only 5 minutes warm up. So it puts a bit of a crunch on it. We have to distance, of course, in the rink, 5 on the bench, 5 on the ice. Anything extra have to be behind the bench. Cleaning the bench after with some disinfectant. And of course, there's sanitizer at the rink and such. But, we're playing. We got 4 or 5 games in now, and the weather's fantastic and everybody's excited. So it's really positive.
Yeah, it's good. At least you're getting on the ice. I mean, I know out in Ottawa area where I am, we're still playing. I'm playing 4 times a week, 4 different leagues. But some of my friends who live down Toronto way or Windsor, they're not playing at all. And so just even the opportunity, even if it's like you said, 10 players, 5 on the ice, 5 on the bench, and you're sanitizing and stuff, at least you're still able to get out there, which we can't say for a lot of the country. So
yeah, we're completely shut down here now. Like there is nothing going on in Saskatchewan. Everything over 18. If you're over 18, all the senior sports are completely shut down. Under 18 is down to practices only with 8 people on ice at once. That's it.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that happened, and they're bringing out some other new restrictions here this week. So it's not looking good in our area anyway, that's for sure. But I mean, I was really intrigued at your comment for a week-long tournament. Like that sounds pretty fantastic.
Well, for us, the costs were, we own our own facility, so we do what we want there. We pick our own times and things like that. It's not real great for hosting other associations and things because there's no change rooms and, like there's a fiber can there, for instance. But, the idea in the whole development of the facility is keep it cheap, keep it inexpensive and a fun sport. Which is the basis of the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So when you say you guys own your own facility there, is it like a broomball specific facility, or did you rent it out to hockey and stuff?
No, we own it. It's ours.
You do whatever you want.
No skating. Yeah, it's very unique in the sport in Canada.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Well, the piece of it is, we're not against skaters or hockey. Like I'm a hockey player and I love the outdoor skating, but it's cost prohibitive to flood it. We don't have a Zamboni, and so when we flood, it's a water truck, it's basic, it's $100 and the water truck comes and lays a load on and next day she's beautiful, right?
Well, that's handy. That's pretty cool. I mean, I know you don't have change rooms. We might have to just come down for a tournament just because the ice is so cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't cost us anything, But I mean, if like minor hockey's approached us and other people, and we feel bad about it, but there's no way it costs us like a bobcat with a brush and then a flood, so you put your hours together, and then what kind of ice are you getting left with, right?
Yeah.
So
That sounds good. So I
Yeah.
guess, I guess leading into the next question, Scott, like obviously you have your own facility, which is a huge plus, right? So, I mean, are you having any challenges to get people to come out and play broom ball in your area? Are people looking at it? They're looking at your facility and going, oh my God, I want to play that sport, get on that ice.
There's a huge draw in it, and our drive has always been to try to keep it cost effective. There's so many things for people to play, and youth, if you will, because that's the growth of the league. So if you're going hockey, and again, nothing against that, or cross country, or your soccer, or your judo, or all the different sports, but there's been a lot of excitement. There's that 20-ish group that's coming out of looking for something to do that's fairly inexpensive. So we're trying to open that up. We got some equipment from when it was Lace to the Top and BF2. So we got some gear in a couple of schools for our programs. So we're getting some kids that have played before. We're full. We got to start
That's
another
good.
team. And there's people waiting and looking.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Anybody, you guys have been in it for a long time, it seems. It takes somebody to run the team, really, to get the sponsor, to get the jerseys, to, the contact person. Hey, we're playing today. I don't know what you guys are using for a scheduling deal. We're using Goal Line. So we got a website with scheduling on it, and there's an app that goes with it so that people can have it on their mobile device. It's tough, but you got to make it accessible these days, right?
Oh, no, exactly. I totally hear what you're saying. I mean, for the most part, that's fantastic news, what you guys got going on up there in the Yukon. I know you guys are just mixed right now. Do you think there's going to be a time where you're going to go like men's, ladies, or a youth or junior program?
Well, the numbers aren't there for the juniors. I got a number of 20-year-olds, that are the new and up and coming, and they're really pumped. They've been to the Worlds. They were in Minnesota, which was great. But, and when we go to the Worlds, we see the guys are really pumped at the men's, and, there's not quite enough for the women's, it's hard.
Yep. That's good. Well, hey, that's all great news. Fantastic stuff you got going on there, Matt. Obviously, it's
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, so there's definitely challenges. The ice time would be one major challenge. I would say, when I first started playing, that was probably the biggest challenge. And over the last 2 or 3 years, it's not resolved itself, but it's definitely gotten a lot better because, locally the number of hockey registration is down. So that helps our ice time. We actually can pick a little bit of our ice time now. But to be honest, I think the big one that I would say is volunteers. It's hard to run a league. It's hard to organize. It's hard to get the jerseys. Everything Scott said there, it's consuming. And, 1 or 2 or 5 people can't do it all. You need help. And, one good example of that is this year I tried to resurrect the Nova Scotia Broomball Association. And, we put it on social media, sent it out everywhere. And one person applied to be on the board. So, it's very difficult to keep that going. And, I actually had more interest from outside of the Maritimes when I put that on our province saying, I wish I was there to help you so we could get this going and build it. But it's not the expense that's we seem to keep that pretty low, as much so as we can. It's really the volunteers. How do you run a kids team or run a kids program without parents or volunteers to help? You just can't do it. would say that's our biggest challenge.
So that's your challenges to get people to play. But what do you think is keeping the sport from evolving in your area, from really going from being rec leagues, playing on mixed Saturday nights, to going to tournaments every weekend, to traveling to other nearby big towns and stuff? Is it the lack of facilities in your case, Matt, or maybe the distance for you guys, Scott? What do you think is what's holding you guys back from really exploding? Scott, we'll start with you.
Well, the distance probably. It's a $500 bill to fly to Alberta. It's 2 days drive. We hosted years ago. We hosted a Northern Cup, and we had Alaska come down because they're playing up there, and we had Yellowknife come over. So there was a kind of a northern representation, and it was kind of fun. It fizzled out, it's the costs, for travel. That like the interest is there, but it costs quite a bit. So that's about it for me. I would say the interest is definitely there to play in tournaments and things. I've had some invites from George in Alberta to come down and play in their play downs, and whether it's a single, a couple, they'll find us teams, or come as a team to participate. So the offers are there. I mean, BC is pretty much dried up, I think. We were there in 2010 for the Worlds, but it's still travel, quite a bit of cash layout, and then you got to get some dedication from people, like a year ahead, start collecting, and so that's it for me, I think.
Yeah. Matt, how about you guys? Why haven't you exploded yet?
Well, I would, because the youth haven't latched onto it yet. I would say that the reason for that is probably, like, who are the heroes in broomball? Certainly we've got some, but do kids know who they are? We don't get the publicity that a basketball or a hockey or a soccer star would get. So, what would drive a kid to want to do it? So, what I'm trying to do here is push it in the school, push it in, the youth programs in the communities, make them aware that the sport even exists in the first place, but that it's also fun, and anybody can do it. You can do it in a gym, you can do it, outside, you can do it inside. There's lots of venues here, and I would say that's the big thing, lack of awareness.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, because I know you said your adult program isn't huge out there. I know it for me as a kid, getting into the sport, all of my parents and parents' friends, they all played. So then I was kind of forced into the sport through my parents. So if you don't have a lot of adults out there playing to force their kids into it, then who else would they have to look up to if not family? So yeah, I understand.
In our area, the biggest thing for youth to get involved in it is nationals for us. Like, growing up and being a part of that Odessa Bandits program, when in our youth, I joined in 14. When I was 14 years old, we won provincials every year. I went to nationals every year. It was the huge draw for us trying to get kids out, was being able to go to nationals and travel. But there again, we had some great people organizing and some great people coaching and managing and things like that helped us fundraise a bunch of stuff, and we were able to afford to go, right? So I hear you there. So I guess up to the next question. So what has been the greatest moment in your guys' opinion in your provinces or territories for broomball? Like, has it been an event that you guys traveled to, or has it been, nationals or worlds, or has there been something just in your province or territory that you guys have had that kind of stands out to you guys has been one of your greatest moments? Like, I guess from your aspect, and I know, Matt, like, you're involved with the province there now with running the club and even the association, right? So you can even tie it back to the association. Has there been one aha moment in your association's time that you can think of?
Yeah, I think this one's pretty easy for me. I might be a bit biased in my answer, but this year we tried a program, which is the one I talked about earlier, which didn't really happen because of COVID. But in another area, we did start one, and actually it sold out and had a wait list. So I think in a lot of years we haven't really seen consistent youth. You have a little bit here and a little bit there, maybe in the schools, but this is the second year for that program, and it's exploded, which is great. Now we just need this virus to get out of the way.
Yeah.
So we can get back to playing. A highlight.
Scott, yourself and your Terry in the Yukon there?
Well, I'd say there's a couple of things that really, marked my career or my time in broomball and the association. And one was the development of the full-size covered outdoor rink. I was involved in it in the beginning with a group of others, of course, but such an improvement. It really improved our game. We were playing on a couple of small outdoor rinks, and it was starting to get quite physical, smaller. There was, lots and lots of heavy action in the square corners. So the full size rink, yeah, the numbers, changed because we were a 10-team league. We went down to 8, but yeah, that was a real good feeling. And then moving up into the Worlds, we've been going there, and that's been a real draw for our players. We tried the nationals, and the gang didn't really dig it. They felt it was a bit more, way rougher than what they were expecting for a non-contact, so we haven't been back, but there's a lineup to go to the Worlds every year, every 2 years, no problem. So for us to travel, yeah, I mean, if you're going to spend money to go to a tournament, there's people wanting to go, and that's great. I really, we talked about the youth, and that we had a coordinator a few years back, and he was going to the schools, and he was, putting them through their, your bending in your stance and your how to hold your stick, and kids, so it was really good. And he was teaching this young fella, and he relates the story about, he went the 1 week and he showed this group of school kids how to play, and then he went, another week, and this woman come up to him and says, "Well, what is this sport? My Johnny came home and he's all alight about this sport. I know nothing about it." And and he's all tickled about it. And, my guy Rocky looks at her and he goes, "Well, it's a broomball, and he explains the whole thing." And so to hear that story, to see that the light came on in this kid that's, maybe not the athletic, maybe not the science genius in school, but he's good at broomball, and it like for his peers. What a great story, I thought, and I use it often to describe our sport. And I don't know where that young fella is, but he really got turned on to it the number of years ago. So it was, it's a real heartwarming story.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I guess next question is, if you could use another province or territory as your ideal model of how they develop players, or how there are as associations, that help, grow the sport, or, see what kind of leagues and the caliber of players that come out of that association or province or territory, who would it be? Scott, we'll start with you. Like, I know you guys got a pretty good thing going there, and it's hard to pick another one, but
No. Like when we get out to major tournaments and events, we can see the polish on a lot of other teams that are super dedicated and disciplined, and I don't take it away from our guys so much, but it's a different level, if you will. And to put one province on it, I mean, obviously our numbers are quite small, in comparison to, I think Saskatchewan's really got something going good there. I haven't been there. I think the NWT's got some real good long-time players there that are driving the program. Alberta, they seem to be going. Their numbers are changing. I don't know a lot about a bunch of the different organizations. I know that there's Ontario's huge in it, and Quebec, some really great players there, watching them play in that. And the Maritimes in that, we've played some teams from there, really great sorts, and some disciplined players there as well. So right across the board, I mean, you're talking about in Canada, when you get over to some of those other teams traveling from different countries, we were talking about draws for what brings people in my organization forward to play in tournaments, and it's that international play. It may not be quite what we're into here tonight, but because we're with the Canadian Broomball, but rather than the IFBA. So there's lots of great organizations, and I think that you've seen them through playdowns, juveniles, masters, whatever, all your different tournaments, your worlds. Saskatchewan had a very successful world, and a really good group there, from what I understand. But I couldn't take it away from anybody. I think the numbers drive it, in your groups and your associations. Like, I think Matt's got, like he's saying, he's got a couple of different associations within his group, or groups within his association there. So, numbers are going to drive your programs, obviously. We're $1.25 and growing. So, it varies, right? So that's not a lot. I mean, maybe you guys can speak to how many numbers are in your groups, in your associations.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's hard to pick just one, that's for sure. But I'm going to ask Matt anyway. Matt, if you had to pick just one.
Yeah, that's a hard question. Who do you pick? I think, like Scott said, like, everybody's got their own thing, and the numbers really, really do drive this. But putting that aside, personally, I've really got to see the way a lot of the players in Quebec have developed, because we go to Quebec for tournaments every year, usually a couple times a year, and I've heard years grow up from kids who were the cutest little thing playing on the ice with a tiny little broom, to now guys who can outrun me no problem. So it's I really have to respect Quebec themselves. But to Scott's point, every single association has been very impressive. I've played against many of them, and even if it's not a full team that happened to come, I've played against players from pretty well every province and territory. So, I really, especially Alain Dugas in Temiscouta, near New Brunswick border in Quebec, has really done a really good job, and I would love to model my provinces out after the Temiscouta region in Quebec.
Yeah, they've definitely got some good broomball out in Quebec. I'm lucky where I live. I'm minutes from the Quebec border, so I've got a tournament pretty much every weekend. Well, before COVID, tournament every weekend, whether it's in Ontario or Quebec. I'm just bouncing back, so I get to see how my organization here in Ontario runs it and how it's run in Quebec. And they're both different, but they're both great. Everyone has different rules and stuff, but they're both organized pretty well. I remember going up to Rivière-du-Loup, play a tournament up there. It's kind of close out to your way, Matt, and I didn't think there'd be too much broomball, but when I got out there, like, they had it in the high school there, and it was the juvenile nationals, and they brought the high school over to watch. It was really cool to see how big it was out there as well. But I've never been given the opportunity or saw the opportunity to go visit you guys where you play. And actually, Scott, I was just looking at your team list from the Worlds in 2018. I was there. I didn't get a chance to watch much mixed, so I didn't get to see you guys play. But you guys had some pretty good stats, a couple of goal scorers. Nick Nadeau and Justin Saunders, they put up some good numbers. Is there somebody on that team, or is there somebody else that you would think is the best current player in your territory? And Matt, we'll get to you after with the best player in your province as well.
Yeah, Nick had a great tournament. We play him with his brother, so there's some chemistry there. Gabriel Nadeau and Nick Nadeau, and there's some chemistry, and they're pretty fiery. It's kind of hard to harness those guys as a coach, Here, I've been trying to develop it more because I've been out a bit and seen some, national play, and yeah, I don't know. Our game here is kind of run and gun rather than take the zone and set up. So I've been trying to drive that as a coach, but those young guys just want to run, and it's kind of hard to discipline them because you don't want to wreck their spirit, but because they're getting it done on the scoreboard. But it's I think it's a little unorthodox when you come against a team from here, because you don't usually see that style. It's all control.
Yeah, I find it changes with age group as well. Like, I know definitely in our area, when you get to those men's teams like the Nationals and Lacombe, it's run, you set up in their zone. But I know as a juvenile coach, the boys, it's a lot of just running back and forth, and it's opportunities both ways. Just they're young, they haven't really played together for 10 years like some of the men's teams have, and it is a lot of running. So if you've got, like you said, a team of a bunch of 20-year-olds, it makes sense for them still just to be running end to end. So
yeah, Justin's played for a number of years. I mean, and he's doing great. He's a good player. He's quick, and he's got a shot. But he's a good runner. And that's mostly his game. Whereas I think, in my opinion, that there's more to the game than just running. Like you guys can probably echo that. Is that it's a control game and take advantage of the opportunity, right?
For sure.
Matt, how about yourself, Matt? You got anybody in mind? Anyone in particular who you kind of stands out in your head beside yourself?
Well, in the past 6 years, I've had quite the pleasure to play with many, many great players in all positions. And, I honestly don't know if I can pick. I feel like I'm kind of disrespecting people if I don't choose them here. But if I have to pick someone, personally, I'm a defender, and I absolutely thrive on crushing the dreams of scoring forwards, and so I have to pick that. So I think I'm going to have to choose from the last 5 years that I've played with her at the national championships. She's been voted as best goalie at the national championships before. I think she might have even got robbed a couple of other times that she didn't win it. But I'm gonna pick Melissa Murphy, and she might just be the best broomball player we've got in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick.
Another goalie, hey Cam, did you hear that?
Yeah, that's everyone that wants to talk to us seems to be a goalie.
Cam and myself are goalies as well, or used to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks a lot for you guys' answers there. So on to the last question, and this one here kind of hits close to home, and I know there's so many, and it's hard to pick just one, but I mean, if you could, Matt, like, what is your best personal broomball memory?
Yeah, it's a great question because there are a lot of them. I started in about 2003, and we were just playing intramurals at Dalhousie University, and so no coaches, we didn't even have shoes. So to go from that to where we are now is a huge. Personally, 2015 national championships. First time I stepped on the ice in, a really, really competitive setting. It was kind of funny because that was the first year I took over as president of the Maritime Association, first year of its existence, actually. And Northern New Brunswick wanted to put a team into nationals. That's really why we got the association going. And I think out of a bit of pity, maybe a little respect, so I took the opportunity and went to play with them. And it was a great honor, but I couldn't understand a word they were saying. I'm English. I don't know very much French at all. And when you throw an entire team of French players at you, including the coaches, you just you don't know the plays, you don't know the style, you don't even know their names or where they're from or anything about them. But when you get out there and you step on the ice and you're playing with, probably the best players from your region against the best players in likely the world, you just have to kind of get out there, play your own game, because again, you don't know the systems. So the first moment you step on the ice, you're riled, you're ready to go, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, I'm at the national championships here, and you think you're ready, but all of a sudden it hits you. You're overwhelmed, you're scared, you're excited, you're proud, and for me that was personally my best moment.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
Nice.
great first moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean there. I know what you mean there, Matt, about going into a team that you don't speak a lot of French. I'm English first, but a lot of the guys I play with are French first. Actually, my team is called Les Boys. Like, they're pretty much, there's maybe 2 English guys on the team. So the reason I speak any French at all is because I have to learn it in the change room just to keep up with them. So very cool though. Scott, how about you? What's your best personal broomball memory?
Well, there's a few for sure, like Matt says, but and we've all had a lot of memories and keep making them. I really enjoyed our travel and our trip to Innsbruck, Austria. It was the Worlds. It was a really interesting trip, and we did pretty decently over there considering. Another thing I'm quite really happy with is that we've got a lot of family playing together, and I think it's pretty unique. We got mom, dad, and the boys. For instance, on my team, other years on other teams, we've had mom, dad, and their boys. So, mom, dad played, the boys came along, and they had to wait in the car till the game was over, and and running around the rink. So, that's pretty fond memories of all that. I think we can all kind of remember all those things or have seen it with their friends and their kids. So lots of great memories with it. And, I'm very passionate about it. I like Matt, I'm always talking about it, and I probably talk about it too much, but, I can't say enough about it, really. I mean, it's such a fun sport, and not hard to play, and it's cost effective. So yeah, we're isolated in our own little area, but I think it's possible to grow it. It takes the volunteers. Like when Matt was talking about it, it really is hard to get people to do a good job. And not get down on them because they're volunteers, like we're all doing our bit to do the best we can for the sport in our area. That's the way I look at it, but it's, it can be frustrating.
I agree, Scott. Great comments.
Yeah.
Your area there, like you obviously got your own rink, and you basically broomball is just tied to your area. There's nowhere else in the Yukon that it's kind of thriving or getting kicked off.
No, it's not really played too far and wide.
Okay.
we travel to a community about an hour and a half away for an annual tournament once a year at the kind of in the spring. We'll see how that goes with COVID, whether it's going to fly or not. There's just it's hard to get people to run a program in other communities. Like, yeah, there's gear. There's gears available through Canadian Broomball, right? But you got to have somebody in charge that'll run a program. So,
you got to get somebody that has the same passion that wants to take the reins, and people like that are few and far between. So it's good that you guys are there.
Yeah, no, it's I think everybody struggles with the growth of it with youth. Ideally, I'd love to see it in an intramural in the schools, whether it's junior high or elementary or high school. Hey, I'm an older guy, but fresh air is not bad for people, right? So, and exercise, right? I mean, and I think that there's so many pulls with other things, including computer games and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, once COVID's gone, people will just want to get out more. I know me. As soon as COVID's gone and we can start having tournaments again, I'm gonna try to get in every tournament I can. So if you guys have any in the future, give us a call. I mean, might be able to throw a team in if it's sounds like a good time. So, anyways, I think that's all we have for you guys today. So, thanks for joining us here. Any last words for anybody before we go? No? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Till next month. And we won't see you guys till the new year. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Have a good one.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thanks, guys.
Merry Christmas.